Hello, we're going to look at adding the prospect into iDirres. Again, another straightforward system to use, and once you finish with this video, which we'll try and do in under 10 minutes again, you'll have a full understanding of how to use the prospect system. So let me make a start with it. What we need to do is go onto the sidebar here, as we always do, and we need to go to prospects. So that's open there, and we'll notice that there's all prospects and my prospects. This allows you to filter the prospect list to only yourself. So for example, if I click on my prospects, there's 2 prospects open. If I click on all prospects, then there are 3 prospects open in the entire company. So what we'll do is go to my prospects, then we go to new, as we did with all the other systems, and this will bring up a new blank prospects form. The way we work with prospects in iDirres is in a down, across and up, down, across and up, down, across and up, and down methodology. This is designed to make sure you fill all the right details in and make sure that you actually work efficiently through the form. So what we'll do first off is go to company name, so we put Covitar in, and it instantly finds the 3 companies with the word Covitar in, so double click on that. Then we click this curly arrow here, and iDirres has then filtered everybody in the list down to just the people attached to that company. So we'll go to Simon Gibbons, and you'll notice one of the great aces now come into play. Because we entered Simon's details in the prospect system, I'm not having to re-enter them here. If though you did need to add somebody because they'd just rung you up and they were saying, could you do this prospect for me, rather than you having to come out of the prospect system and go back into the other system, you could actually go to new here and add the person in. Now obviously we've discussed about the dangers of duplicates and things like that and how you deal with that, but that is one of the ways that you could add somebody on the fly. We'll just put a second name in. Subject, well, I know what Simon's after. He's after cans of soup, and we'll see there instantly spell checker kicks in. Make sure the subject is as descriptive as possible. That's very important. Remember that it's not just you dealing with this. If you're away, if a colleague has to pick up for you, they need to be able to help out and they need information. So cans of soup for meeting, we'll say 12th of the 1st 2011, and at the end of the day it's something there that will show up in the system. Prospect code, if you had a code that you wanted to attach to it. A referral code, oh right, okay, you've got that off our leaflet, yes, what's the code for that? Oh, VGF, right, okay. You could do things like that, and you could store the data in here and it can be retrieved at a later date to run reports against. Who's it assigned to? I'll keep it assigned to M. Gibbons. We can even say what the referral type came from, so we could say it's a newspaper. You can add these as well in the administration system, but we could say it's another customer who referred this person. So we click here on the little curly arrow, and if I put Mark in, I could search through our entire database and it will pull back the details. So let's just put this one in here, Frederick. We have a close date. The idea being that at the end of the day, at a certain given point in time, the prospect will automatically close itself, because if the customer hasn't come back, well then it's the pipeline's extinguished. Or if you want to reset it because you've rung them up and they're waiting to make a decision, you could extend that. But we'll just leave it on the 12th for the time being. We move across. The created date, this is defined by the system, you can't alter it. The status bar. The status bar allows a pipeline of behaviour. So at the end of the day, when it's a new prospect, it goes here. When it's saved, it then goes to started. And at various stages you can move through the process. But if you move to the agreed process, the agreed option here, what will happen with that is the fact this prospect will suddenly go into the completed prospects, and the workflow for it will then go into the order queue. So that at the end of the day, what it's doing is keeping the prospect flow clean and up to date. We'll just keep it as new prospect. We can also set a valid date. Why? Well, what you could do with that is, if a customer turns around and says, oh, I'm after some parts, and you do give them a good deal on them, but you're aware of currency fluctuations, or you might be wanting to drive them onto purchasing the product sooner or later, you could say, alright, well look, this prospect is valid, I'll keep it until Friday for you. and that's what you can do. And then on Friday, this will then go into the cancel prospects queue if the customer doesn't purchase, or if the customer does, then it'll go into the completed prospects and the order will go into the order queue. Simple. Okay, so this is the prospect detail frame area here. This is what we've just been working on now. So what we're going to now do is move down to this tab area here along the bottom. So what we need to do is we need to add the products in. So when we press add, a new form called product details appears, and you've got options here. Again, you can define and add these as required in the administration system, but at the moment we'll just keep it simple. So we've got product. If I go to the little curly arrow here, and then I go to, for example, I'm going to add Sunday roast in a can, which I'm sure you can see here. So what we'll do is we'll find the Sunday roast in a can. Here we go. Add it in, and what we can see here is the fact that it won't allow me to modify certain things. So for example, the code is fixed because that's all handled in inventory, the name is fixed because that's handled in the inventory, the tax code is fixed because it's handled in the inventory. So if ever you need to go and change those, you need to go into the inventory system, but we'll cover that in another video. The quantity, we can set the quantity here, we can apply a discount as well if we'd like. So I'll say, right, okay, I'll give you a 10% discount if you buy today. You can even put descriptions in. As you press OK, what will happen is the system will automatically put together the unit price and apply discounts, etc. You could have miscellaneous items. These are things that aren't there to go in the system, but are important. You know, like for example, you could say, right, okay, I'll go out and provide training. You can set the unit price there and then as well, so we'll say 230. One thing to note, discount can be applied positively or negatively, and again that just depends how you want to deal with a client. You might decide, okay, so okay, it uses the word discount, but you can use it to slew the figures in a required way. It might be that you decide to give them a discount on something else in the process and then make the markup back up further on with something else, you know. At the end of the day, there's various reasons how you want to do it, but the system gives you that flexibility. Tax rates here, these are set again from the system, and that makes it easier. So at the end of the day, if there's a VAT change, you go into the administration system, you change the value there, and it's applied from then on. So for example, if I go to standard rate here, it will be applied. Put the training code. Always put a description in. And again, what will happen as soon as I press OK, the price is all being added up on the bottom here. You can attach documents to the system. What I always say to people though when they're adding documents is, make sure that if it's something very, very sensitive, that you put a password protection on it and make it secure. Reason being is the fact that at the end of the day, you've got to remember that the iDirres is designed to be an open system. It's designed to allow the people in your company to work together collaboratively. Therefore, if there's stuff you don't want other members of your team to see for whatever reason, then password protect it. The other side to this is, if it's all open, then when somebody's away on holiday, somebody else can go up there, get the details, and get working for you. So, you know, that's a business decision, but I always say if it's highly confidential, password protect it, and then it gives another level of security on top of the iDirres security. You can add calls, and again, if we just move to the squirrely arrow here, if I put Mark in, and we pull my name up, then what instantly happens is the fact that it automatically pulls back my telephone numbers and details, so I'll put those there. This form as well, I will say, is actually going to develop on as we move forward with the product. There's telecommunication systems waiting to go in on this, so over the next year you're going to see some great features available here. You can add emails and letters. Just quite simply cut and paste the details in. You can add notes to the file. And one of the great features is a history log here. There is a history log that builds up event by event so that you can always review the file. This cannot be edited though, and the point with that is so that it means that there's a level of honesty in the business. If somebody's made a mistake or somebody said something, people need to know and find out. Things can be stopped before they go too far. So that's why the history log is uneditable, and at the end of the day it's there to give a quick synopsis of what's going on. You could quickly flick through this and see all the information together in one place. Final point is the fact there's a schedule, so you can book appointments in to see people. So if I just go and do this, put a new appointment in, that will appear and flag up to say, you know, you need to talk to Mark about that. Right, before we finish, you see here the none on the right hand side here. When I now go to the save button and save the prospect back, that will now be allocated the number 22-1. Just one final point, say you want to send out the client a quick quote or estimate. What you can do here is, if you press the little printer up there that we just did, it will now produce a point report like that. And what you could do is you can export it into various styles, so you could put it into Excel and then modify it and change the wording. Also, what you can do is, if we click on this little button here, we've got picture watermark, load image, tree image, that'll do. Decide the transparency value of it, that will do. OK, and behind the report is an image, so that's a watermark, so you can put your company logos or anything there. Right, I hope that helps. Thank you very much.